I'm assuming you are a teacher or some sort of educator with a desire to learn more about placement tests. Hopefully this video will give you a great understanding of them. Let's get started. A placement test is a test usually given to a student entering an educational institution to determine specific knowledge or proficiency in various subjects for the purpose of assignment to appropriate courses or classes. Placement tests are one form of many assessments. I am not going to get into what assessments are overall, but how placement tests can be used as assessments. When we hear the words placement tests, there are many options that come to mind. Placement tests can be seen in a variety of areas and subjects: entrance to a school, usually a private school, placement into a specific math class, reading levels, honors classes of any subject, or college placement or entrance exams, along with many more. You may even experience a placement test to get a job at some point in your life. The most important thing to remember when distributing placement tests to students and to inform parents about is that a placement test is not a pass or fail test. This test is strictly to see where a student is at in order to better serve their academic needs. If you give a placement test at the beginning of the year in your classroom, maybe you are using it as a benchmark. Teachers will often give a beginning, middle, and end of the year benchmark to be able to see where their students start out academically and then see the growth throughout the year. These benchmarks also will help the teacher to alter their planning if necessary based off of the results during evaluation. Many of the formal placement tests might be given in a testing center of a school and may be individualized or given to a group. Placement tests for college level classes, AP high school classes, and rotating math or reading classes in elementary school may be done at the end of the previous school year or over summer leading into that next academic year. These will then be graded, and a specific score will either place you at a more advanced level or keep you where you are currently at. The benefit of giving a placement to elementary children for a math or even reading class that rotates would be to meet those higher and lower level academic needs for students. Let me give you an example. There are 4 different 3rd grade teachers, and they all have math at the same time each day. 2 of the teachers teach grade level math, 1 of the teachers teaches a remedial math, and the other teacher teaches a grade 4 level math. This mixture gives students who are more advanced in math the opportunity to be more challenged than they would be in the regular grade level math. It also gives an opportunity to those 3rd graders who may not be as mathematically inclined to improve their skills by dropping down a level. Regardless of where the student is at, it is important to see growth. So those students who may be in a lower math class are still expected to grow in their math skills throughout the course of the year, but not necessarily expected to be all the way where their peers are at in the grade level or advanced class. Another way to use placement tests is right inside of the classroom. Placement tests are for the teachers. In order for a teacher to see where their students are at academically and be able to provide them a year's worth of growth in all subjects, they will need to give a placement test. This placement test can be in math, writing, reading, spelling, and even science and social studies, amongst other subjects if necessary. The most important thing a teacher can do with the scores is evaluate them. There are many things to take into consideration when evaluating a test. Validity is the appropriateness and adequacy of the interpretations and uses of assessment results. What to look at when considering validity. Basically, what is valid? If the students purposely failed the test, it is invalid because it did not actually assess their knowledge. Did they get enough sleep the night before? Were they hungry during the test? Were they anxious? How was the test written? The format and writing of the test is crucial. For instance, if a student cannot read the directions and questions because the vocabulary in the questions is too difficult, this will affect their ability to answer the question properly. Tests need to be written appropriately to the grade level. These are just a few of the factors when evaluating results. This is another reason why other types of assessments are important to give as well. Regardless of what the results may be, a teacher must actually use them to steer their planning. If a middle of the year assessment is given on math placement and the kids all flunked it, the teacher needs to be making some changes to his or her teaching methods. If the kids all failed because the classroom was freezing cold since the heater broke at the school, then that would be a different case of validity. The kids were so distracted by being cold that the test is not a valid measure of what they know. Either they actually flunked because they did not understand the material, or the freezing cold was distracting them. In evaluating, the teacher must consider the validity of these two scenarios. There are 4 major considerations in validation. 1. Content. 2. Construct. 3. Assessment criterion relationships. And 4. Consequences. All placement tests need to be evaluated with these 4 characteristics in mind. In a brief summary of these, content is how well the assessment actually represents the content being measured and whether it is measuring the most important things. Construct is analyzing whether the performance on the assessment shows that the student actually understood the concepts. Assessment criterion relationships allows us to predict the future performance of the student or estimates current performance on the content other than just the test. The consequence is being able to evaluate if the intended purpose for the assessment was actually accomplished. Many factors need to be taken into consideration with all assessments, not just placement tests. Overall, placement tests can be used in the capacity at which a teacher desires to use them for her students. Even if not using them to actually put a student in a different leveled class, they are successful for the use of differentiation and for the teacher to know which direction to go in planning and teaching. Thank you for taking the time to learn a little bit more about placement tests.